Hello, one and all. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Sorry for the slight delayed start there. We've had a few, what's the word, technical hitches as usual. It's a tNb podcast. What do you expect? Nothing goes right, does it? Anyway, hello. Hope you're well. Good evening. This is the Retro Bear in the gaming pantry once more for episode number 68 of the tNb gaming podcast stroke live stream stroke whatever you want to call it. And tonight we're discussing a subject which I will happily say I know absolutely zip about, which is why I host these things and not actually a guest. And we're talking about import games tonight. So if that is an interest to you, you're in the right place. We have the comments available, live chat going. So once we get up and running and get everything going, feel free once we start talking about import games, because we do talk about other stuff to start with. Fire questions in there, any comments you want to make at all, you're very welcome to do so. Slight change to the lineup tonight. Sean won't be with us, but we've got somebody else dropping in about 15 minutes' time. So we're going to do a little bit of stuff we usually do first, and then wait for our fourth guest to come in, and then we're going to sort of kick in with the podcast as always. But let's see who's in. Retro Chef was here first. He had a video out earlier on this evening. Hope you're okay, Lee. Hope you stuck around for this one. Good evening to 8-Bit Rach. Hello, Rush, Sean, Pete Fighter, and mysterious guest. I'm here. That's always important. Susie's here as well. I prefer the sound of the mysterious guest. Oh, it's a vote of confidence, isn't it? There we go. Looking a bit rugged, aren't I? A bit rugged, ragged around the edges, rough and ready, most people would describe. Hope we don't know who it is. The guest will be very mysterious. I hope they're wearing a cloak. If you are the special guest watching this, you have got a cloak. You've got enough time to try and go and get one if you want. If you haven't, don't worry. Joe's here. Joe Gaming Girly. Good evening, Joe. I'm going to be disappointed they aren't now. Okay, so you have to go get a cloak. Rach was just thinking of Joe. That's interesting. I'll just put Exhumed on the PlayStation 1. There we go. Gavin's here. Snoopy Man. Hello, Gav. Hope you're all right. Where were you last time we spoke to you? It was streamed the week, wasn't it? Who was streaming? Was it Al? Big Game Al stream, wasn't it? I think. Mrs. Bear's here. Not feeling so good today. She had a bit peaky today, so I hope she's managed to make it through this one as well. Technical hitch. Yeah, you can't be away for it. Yeah, we did try and get Rach on the last one. Unfortunately, she was technical issues. Mark's here. Away the games. Good evening, Mark. Danny, the Retro Gaming Master. Hope you're well, sir. Steve's here. Addy Sneaker Freak was on the last one about the Amstrad. Good to see you, Steve. And Trevor's here as well. Good evening, Trev. Rock and roller. Nice to see you. We've got 16 people in the chat, which is a good start. What's the topic tonight? Did you not see the title card, Trev? Import games, my friend. We're talking import games. Do you know anything about import games? I don't. That's why we're here. And Gordon's here. Good evening, Gordon. Gib84. Hope you're okay. Right. So, yeah, so we're talking import games tonight, just for Trevor's benefit. Only joking, Trev. We're always glad you're here, mate. Let's bring in our special guest. He has been on before, so it's good to have him back. All the way live from runway 3 at Terminal 2 at Heathrow in his private jet. It's James, Retro Import Gamer. Good evening.
Yeah, greetings from the flight deck, Russ.
I've started something here that's probably not going to go away now. I think you did the Sega Saturn stream with the Game Zone Bird Room the other night. I think second one you're done with him. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And I think the first time I met having to mention it. I think me and a couple of people said, "Why is it on a jet plane? Why is it a private jet?" But that's because I think it's because how you got your ceiling done in the loft there.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from now. You said it, but it never occurred to me before.
It's going to stick now, isn't it? That's
yeah, I don't mind it actually.
No, well, look, I've got a tiny room which I nicknamed the pantry. So,
yeah, well, that's good. I might rename the channel to the Gaming Flight Deck.
I would have said cockpit, but that might get you a different sort of viewer.
Yeah, I don't think we should go there, really.
No, I don't think we do that. You haven't got a cloak either, apparently, so I hope the girls aren't too disappointed.
No, I'm sorry. That's probably lost you a couple of views already.
It's all right, isn't it? You can't please everybody, can you? You can't.
I can't please anybody.
How are you anyway? Have you been well since we last spoke to you?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks, Russ. Yeah, not too bad. Busy, as I'm sure most people are with one thing and another, but coming up to Christmas, but... You know.
It's I've got a very busy 4 or 5 weeks coming up. I think we're 5 weeks from Christmas now, aren't we? I think. Is it 5 weeks
scarily, yeah.
Yeah, 5 weeks today, yeah.
That's right, and there's a couple of events before then, isn't there? If you're going to both.
Yeah, I've got the Crash live event next Saturday at the Bescott, Warsaw.
Oh, I forgot that one. There's 3 then, isn't there?
Yeah, that's right. And then there's the Birmingham Game Market on the 4th of December.
That's right. And then Nottingham's a bit
And
later, isn't it?
then Nottingham, which is the weekend before Christmas, but I don't think I'm going to be able to make, unfortunately. I know we had James, it's much more on a couple of weeks ago. But that was it's just a little bit too close to Christmas for me because
Yeah.
I finished on the Friday, so I tend to spend the weekend getting everything all sorted, so I'm going to worry about anything during Christmas week. I can just
Yeah.
shut the door, relax, switch off, and
That's
put my
it.
feet up for 11 days or so. But
I don't blame you. It's a bit too close for me as well, to be honest.
it's a shame. I know it runs 2 days, and I'd like to have gone if week before or something like that. There may be a chance to go, but
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. Mark says I'd seen the new Virgin Air new adverts, but I didn't know things had got that bad.
Yeah, it's really dropped off, Mark, I tell you.
And Air Force 2. So tonight we got your subject tonight. Import obviously in the name on the channel, of course.
Yeah, clues in the title, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get to the meat of that a bit later on. But good to have you back, mate. And
Cheers, Russ.
we'll come back to you in a second. Let's bring in one of our regular panelists. He's been here quite regularly, which is always good to see him here. It's my very good friend Pete Fighter 11 tonight. Good evening.
How are we doing?
Pete Fighter 11.
Yeah. A bit of backstory for that. Mark, he was searching for me on YouTube the other day because even though it's been like 8 months now, people still haven't realised I've deleted my channel. And all he got was video responses from old Yorkshire man Mark, always responding to Pete Fighter 11. So here I am, Pete Fighter 11.
Pete Fighter 11, yeah. Well, you had a few names on this channel.
Yeah,
ones that we can say anyway. Yeah, ones that we can say anyway. But yeah. No. So have you been well since we last spoke to you? So I think it wasn't the last one. It was the one before, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, the one before. Yeah, I had no
Dreamcast.
idea about like Amstrads or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, I've been fine. Yeah, really good. Just getting along, you know.
Yeah, that's
How have you
it.
been, Ross?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yeah, I know. I'm all right. Yeah, I've been busy and sort of. I must be. I had some stuff to do today, and I just said to Claire this morning. I said, look, I just can't do it today. We'll have to do it next weekend or something. And of course, realised that yes, I've already got next weekend, or certainly Saturday booked. So I've just basically committed myself to a full weekend of stuff, really. So, but there are things to be done which need to be done before Christmas. So I've got to get them out the way and what have you. So I take it you're going to be busy, between now and Christmas period as well, in your line of work. So.
That's why I've cracked out the old Christmas tree tonight because I think this might be my last chance before Christmas to actually get on the stream. So,
that's a shame.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, I'm probably free for the next one, but if we're going to end up talking about the soccer, I'm probably going to sit that one out.
Oh yeah, yes, yes, yeah. I should mention that again, something I only realised this week is the fact that we are due for the next 2 podcasts to be potentially scheduled against England games or the World Cup final, which depends. People may have realised the World Cup started today. I don't know if anybody stayed awake through the game this afternoon. It's bloody awful, but there we go. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think potentially if England don't win their group, they play on the 4th of December at 7 o'clock. I'm not running a stream against an England game. I can run it against other things, but I'm not running it against an England game. That's just I don't. We could have the biggest celebrity in the world on here and nobody watches. They'd all be sitting there watching the football. So anyway, there we go. But good to tell you both on tonight. Obviously, a little bit of time before we get in. We'll just have a quick look at the comments. We've got Joe says, I've got import copy Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater on the Switch, which I've been playing. Such a good game. Trev says, I got Esprade on the way from import on Switch. This is going to be one of my problems tonight, trying to pronunciate some of the things that people in the type, which is something else. Busy man, Russ. Yes, I am Gordon. We've got to chat about that this week, haven't we? What's football? Well, Stuart being Scottish, you wouldn't know. That's definitely
that one, doesn't
yeah, definitely. He just lines them up, don't he? Just walks into just opens his mouth before he thinks about it. Susie said she'll watch if we're up against the football. That's fine. Well, we'll see, won't we? Gordon says, "Are England not supposed to win this World Cup again?" Well, it's nice to be there, isn't it? I suppose that's just another thing. Not to worry. Right, so while we're waiting for our other panellists to turn up, we always ask people what they've been playing this week. If anybody's watched my channel, I put a gameplay video up this week. Have you two seen that at all? I know. I think James didn't you?
Yes, I've watched it. Yes.
Yeah.
I've not watched it, but I did see you put it up.
Yeah. Good. Don't watch it. It's terrible. I always set a challenge by this mysterious channel that's all right called Got Game, I think it is. I think they've got a number of YouTubers lined up to be challenged on certain games. I was challenged to play a Wii game this recently, and I finally had time to do that this week. And yeah, it wasn't pleasant viewing. It's actually I want to plug in a video I'm terrible on. Yeah, if everyone wants to know why I sit here and do this, I don't play the games. Go and watch that video that's on my channel. It's not good. So I can actually say this week I've been playing Link's Crossbow Training on the Wii. Oh yeah, I only play the quality titles, mate.
It's a good game, that is, Russ.
It is. It's honestly, yeah, it is, James. It's a very good game. I mean, luckily, the challenge I was set was level 3, which when I loaded the game up, I realised I must have got to level 3 when I first played it because I'd done the first 2 levels, so level 3 was unlocked. I thought, oh great, I could get don't make me play a level I can't get onto because that'd be even worse, wouldn't it? You know. But yeah, it is a good game. I mean, and you can buy it for scale. It's
it's peanuts. It's like a pound or 50 pence, isn't it?
I think it's about that level. I mean, the whole design was to sell Wii Zappers, which is ironically the one controller that I needed to play it with, and I have got, but I couldn't find it.
I got with a Wii Zapper back in the day because I wanted to play like Ghost Squad and stuff, but because of because the Wii Zappers were like rocking our shit back in the day when they first came out as well. So when like CEX just had a thing that they used to do where they used to get like bundles of stuff and then split the game from the peripheral and then sell them both at like a premium. So like a dickhead, I ended up buying the Wii Zapper for more than it should have been with the game bundled, but without the game bundled. So I have only relatively recently picked up the game to complete the set, and I've never actually played it, but it is one that I do mean to go to.
Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly long game, but as James said, it is quite good fun. The only problem that I had was I thought, well, I could try and use my other many bits of plastic peripheral gun-shaped things that the Wii remote would fit into. But of course, it's set up for a certain thing, and this one needed the B button to act as a trigger. So the other ones I tried it with, it just didn't work. And I spent 5 minutes assuming this giant rifle type thing, which I've got for a Cabela game. It's got the sight on it and everything. I was just good. It just wouldn't do anything with it. So I'm there with the Wii remote trying to shoot all these targets with this really shaky hand because I'm 47 years old, and it just didn't work. So anyway, that's given far too much publicity to my bad game playing. Mark says, "Are Scotland even on the new FIFA?" Probably not. There'll be minor countries, I expect. According to Badil and Skinner, football is coming home for Christmas. I haven't heard that yet, and I don't really want to.
When have they been wrong in the past?
Well,
every time.
Every time, yeah. Wee Papa Girl rappers. Oh, I love Rachel's sense of humour. That's good. That's clever. Do you remember the Wee Papa Girl rappers?
There's nothing to me.
No. I think they were a one-hit wonder from the late 80s. There's a song called We Rule, was it? Dreadful record. Pretty much dreadful record.
I've never heard of them.
No.
I'd say go and check it out, but honestly, don't. It's terrible.
No, I won't bother them.
Rach, I bow to that. That is brilliant, fantastic stuff. Jangir Ahmed's here again. I'm doing very well, my friend. Hope you're okay. Good to see you back here again. Joe says, I enjoyed the Zelda crossbow game. It is fun. You did good. You're very kind, Joe. You're very kind. Even I was embarrassed to upload that video. I'll tell you how bad it was. Anybody hadn't seen it. The target score was 61,000. I managed 14.
The trouble is with that game, if you miss one, you're buggered, aren't you?
Yeah, because
it's all cumulative.
That's it. You've got to keep hitting the targets and build the score up and what have you. And that one with the fruit balloons as well, where you're just going to keep moving it around. It's like, it's too much hard work, this is. I'm used to stuff now moving by itself, so it just lines it up nicely for me. But yeah, so I managed to get back 25% of the score that was required. But Joe, you're very kind. That's good. Ray said she loved that song. Mark's here, Judge Drock as well. Good evening, sir. First import Star Fox on the snares after 5 years of pirating Amiga. It stung the wallet. I could imagine that must have been really expensive back in the day because they weren't cheap to get home. Yeah, we will get to import games very shortly anyway. So, James, anything that you've been playing that you'd like to recommend to our boys and girls and viewers?
I don't know about recommend, but it's kind of a bit off topic and not really where I normally play, to be honest. But a few weeks back, I picked up a PS3 Move controller.
Oh, lovely. Yes, I've got one of those.
Totally just to play House of the Dead, which it was great for, I must be honest. But then that got me sort of looking at what other things use the Move controller, just to have something else to use it with, really. And it sent me down a bit of a rabbit hole of buying up Move games, because they're all like 50 pence and a pound, aren't they, really?
Yeah.
So I've ended up buying, well, I haven't got them all, but I've got a decent amount now. I think the better ones of the ones that are available. But I've been playing them recently, and I've got a few here. These two in particular, I think, are probably the best.
We've got the Sports Champions games. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Wii Sports, but with much nicer graphics.
Okay.
But honestly, they're both brilliant, and they've got a good array of sport. I forget which one it is now. This one, I think, has got a cracking golf game on it.
That's the second one. Yep.
The second one, yeah. But this first one has got like it's not called petanque, you know, it's like a French sport where they throw like boule.
Bulls.
Bulls, yeah. They
Bulls.
throw their metal balls in the air.
Yeah.
It's not called that on here. I think it's an Italian name or something. But it's that sport. That is absolutely brilliant. I've spent hours on that playing that.
But they tend to be the better ones, don't they? That don't require much differentiation if you were playing it normally. For example, that's why I used to love about the Wii bowling I treated that like a proper, if I was actually bowling properly.
Oh, exactly.
And the same with the golf section, although that did lead to me nearly put me back out because I was trying too hard. But
yes, you did tell me about that, actually.
Yeah, I think I've told everybody about that.
Yeah, but again, there's bowling on there as well, just like the Wii Sports, which is equally good, to be honest. And also, the other good one on here is there's an archery game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And again, the Move controller, you use it like you put it behind your back, like to pull the bow, and then you aim and fire it like you would a normal. It's absolutely brilliant. The one thing it's made me want to do now, though, is you can use it with two Move controllers. Presumably one like the front of the bow and one for holding the arrow. So I need another Move controller now.
They ain't cheap though, are they?
No. I only chanced on the first one cheaply. That's why I bought it in the first place.
I think I was lucky to get one. I think Sean passed it on to me. So I only got the one, but I've like you. I've looked at the Move game and I thought, do I start going down that or not? I don't know.
Honestly, for the price, Russ, they're an absolute bargain. And this is another one.
Which we got there?
This is like £1.
Kung Fu Rider.
Kung Fu. I mean, it looks shit. But you think, I'm going to risk it for £1. And it's basically, the principle is you're sitting on an office chair going down like a downhill course. And you move the controller in various positions to like duck on the chair, like attack opponents or jump or stuff like that. It's essentially like a snowboarding game on an office chair. It's crazy, but it's really good fun. For £1, you can't go wrong.
That sounds like my sort of game, that does.
Honestly, Russ, it's a right laugh. Absolutely brilliant. Also quite good with Virtua Tennis.
Virtua Tennis 4, yeah, got that.
Quite good with the London Olympics game.
Oh, the 2012 one, yeah.
It don't work on all the sports, but it does work on like maybe, I don't know, 25%, we'll say. And then the other fantastic one.
Oh, PDC Darts.
PDC Darts.
I played that on the Wii, and it's dull as anything. It really is. Just,
I haven't played the Wii one.
Honestly, mate, it's shocking. It really is.
Oh right. Well, I can't compare it with that. I mean, it may be the same, and I just think it's good, and it's actually shit. But it's. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a better darts game than 180 on the Spectrum, in my opinion. But this is by far the best one I've played since. It's nice and simple and basic to play, just like 180 was. Obviously, with just much nicer graphics.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's £2 or £3 in CEX.
That's nothing, is it really?
No, I happened to find it in cash converters for 50p.
Oh well, even better.
Even better.
Even better. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're right. I don't think there haven't been many. I mean, there haven't been many darts games over the years, but it might be worth a go. That I might try and hunt that one down. I used to like me darts years ago, but not so much anymore. I haven't seen it for ages, but yeah, I was well into it at one point.
Yeah, honestly, Russ, if you see that cheap, I'd definitely try it. It's a right good game for the money.
Are the Time Crisis games move compatible?
Yes, they are
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I got them with the G-Con, but they are really good games. Well worth.
Oh
picking
yeah,
up.
they're brilliant because you got that Dead Storm Pirates on it as well, haven't you?
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic pack that is. And you can also use it on, obviously, as you know, for light gun games. There's a Rambo one, isn't there?
Yeah, that's not G-Con compatible though. That one is it? That's
No,
I've just not been.
it's just move compatible.
Yeah,
That one.
I don't actually have the move thing, so I've just gone for the G-Con set, which is literally two games. So
Oh right, yeah,
nice easy subset.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. Anything else, James, or is that what you got?
That's been pretty much the extent of it, really. Unfortunately, it's like I say, maybe not for everybody, but I've been having fun with it.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Have fun with it. You know, might not be everybody's cup of tea, but if you're enjoying it, I mean, I can't. You know, I didn't say I didn't enjoy playing that link game, but I did enjoy playing it. Just wasn't very good at it. But that's the whole thing, isn't it? You know,
It don't matter how good you are, does it? As long as you're having fun.
precisely. Let's go back to the comments before we come to Pete, and I'll bring another guest in as well. He's arrived now. James Games and Bird Rooms here. Good evening, mate. Hope you're all right. Champion Duty. Rob is here. Hello, Rob. Nice to see you. Too many streams on tonight. There is only one stream tonight. This one. But there we go. Gordon says the frisbee game on Sports Champion is fun.
Yes, he's right. It's like frisbee golf.
Yep. Another one. Generation Pixel said, "Is this a motion control episode?" No, but that's giving me an idea.
Yeah, it's quite archery heavy as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're going on about crossbow training, and then it's all the
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Motion control archery.
Petonk, which we were talking about a second ago. Hand behind your back to pull the bow.
I
think you ain't got that round.
Yeah, I should have said arrow. Yeah.
Danny 8 says, I found PS3 motion controls a few times and cheap at the car boot sale. So that might be an option there. Paul's here, Retro Bait. Hello, mate. Hope you're all right. James went to a big competition in Poland, came 52nd out of 128 teams. Okay. That Petonk, yeah. There we go. 180 is the greatest darts game, says Stu. Go with that one there. Eddie says you need the office chair to play that game properly, which is the one Kung Fu Rider, which James was talking about as well. Yeah, so everybody's there in the chat. Let's bring our other panelists in very, very quickly. Come on, people, get them likes up. Yeah, get the likes. So stick a thumbs up on the channel. That'll be lovely. Stick a thumb up the stream. Let us know what you think. Let's bring our other guest in tonight. He's been sitting patiently before I come to Pete. It's welcome back to the tNb podcast. Eddie, Import Core. Good evening. No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Hello, can't hear you. Yeah, we can't hear you. Yeah. Turn it on. After all that, we can't hear him. Yeah, sign language. Anyone know any sign language? Anyone know sign language?
I know that is bullshit.
I don't know what's happened there. Let's just try and unmute him and mute him again. No,
I can't prefer him this way.
You might have to drop out and come back on, mate. That better now. I heard a click. Didn't else hear a click? I heard a click.
Yeah, I
heard something.
Yeah, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
Very
I heard
faint.
something then.
Turn it up.
Ooh. Any better?
Oh, that's getting better.
Yeah, getting there.
Oh, well, hello. How you all doing?
Yeah, we're all right, mate. Yeah,
not bad.
We can hear you. Hope everybody else can hear you at home. That's the main thing. Are you all right?
That's good. Yeah, I've got a new webcam. I don't know if you noticed. So no more nostril cam, unfortunately.
No.
So, yeah, teething problems. Unfortunately, I didn't come on early enough to test it out, did I?
Yeah, well, it's good to have you back, mate. Anyway, I know it's been a while since you've been
Yes.
on, but I think a subject I certainly think you can have an awful lot too as well.
No, I know a couple of things. Yeah,
Yeah,
might have tinkered in the old import scene once upon a time.
yeah. I was going to say once
It's
upon a time because yeah, you're moving some stuff out now. So
T-shirt, the jumper as well is kind of on topic.
Yeah, very appropriate.
Aye,
I'm glad
I
somebody
live
else
in it at
spotted
the moment.
that. Just go back very, very quickly back to the PlayStation Move Control. Mark said I did have a Move Controller, but the wife took it away for some reason, never give it back. I must ask why and where it is. I probably would ask for a good clean before you got it back,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Yeah. That's the best Eddie sounded in ages, says Stuart.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it's nice of him to say that, isn't it?
Plenty of support. Cheers, guys.
Danny says, I've got Unholy Night and Fear Effect as imported games are all bought from Ed Hunts at the London Gaming Market. Okay. We'll get onto that in a second. Okay, Pete, what have you, anything you've been playing quite quickly? Or some edited highlights? Or I know you played quite a lot, so.
I've not actually this time, I promise.
Oh.
I've mostly been
I
playing...
would say that, and everyone says, no, actually this week I've been playing nothing. Yeah.
It's mainly because of the old God of War, if I'm getting so much glare off that. Yeah.
It's a new God of War game, isn't it, for anybody who's listening?
And it's essentially it's all I've played for the last 2 weeks. I've just finished it tonight, about an hour before I came on. And it is absolutely stunning. It really is. It's like, I know we're on early doors, but I'm calling Game of the Generation for this already because it's amazing. It's like my last two games of the last two generations are probably The Last of Us and Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's like had the same sort of feeling in my stomach while I've been playing this game as those two games. So yeah, it's an absolute experience. It really is. I know Gordon and Mark are in the chat. We've been sort of playing it along together. Obviously, Mark finished it before anybody else even got to play it. But yeah, it's just been such an amazing experience. It's I love I say the first one. It was like the 7th one. I think this one's the 8th. But yeah, I loved the previous God of War because it was a really good game, but it didn't sort of grab me as unforgettable sort of thing. Whereas this one, for some reason, it really has. I think it's because it's like more light-hearted in tone. It looks phenomenal. It's probably the best bit of like gaming media I've ever seen, but in terms of its like visuals. It's like like certain films people will say like you've got to see Star Wars on the big screen or something. I think this is one game that really has to be played like PlayStation 5 on as good a TV as you possibly can get because it looks absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, that's virtually all I've been playing for the last couple of weeks. I had a crack on the Commodore 64 collection on the Evercade on a game called Marauder. I don't know if you.
I was looking at that. Looking at it yesterday, ironically.
Yeah, it's like a top-down shooter sort of thing. You're in a little buggy with a gun on it, and if it was more like something like Heavy Barrel, where it's like a twin stick, it'd be a lot easier. But it's rock hard because you can only fire the direction your buggy is facing. So, and you can't just like turn on the spot like on Asteroids or whatever. So it's like I was finding it really ridiculously hard playing it on the Evercade on the little screen. But I loaded it onto my Commodore 64 Mini and I had a good old crack of it on the big screen, and I got the hang of it. And I'm classing it as completed because it's one of those games where the levels just repeat.
Yeah.
So I got through the whole thing a couple of times, managed to do it on 1 credit, and I'm classing that as done. And apart from that, it's really good, by the way, Marauder. I really enjoyed playing it. I'm not a big Commodore 64 or 8-bit kind of guy, but did really enjoy playing that game. Apart from that, I just had a quick look on the Black Friday sale on the Switch store and last night, and I picked up Duke Nukem 3D, the 20th anniversary World Tour Edition, whatever it is. It's probably like the 50th time I've owned that game. But I was playing it handheld on my Switch, which I've got the Hori controllers for. I don't use the stock Joy-Cons. And it feels really nice just playing it handheld, and it looks really nice on the screen. And that's really they've like sharpened it up and everything, added lighting effects to it and stuff, and it sort of looks how you remember it looking back in the day, but how it looks in your mind, sort of remembering back. So it does it justice, which is with like re-releases and stuff. That's kind of what I think they should do. They should make it look how you remember it looking, rather than how it actually looked. So yeah, really enjoying that. I just played through the first level, but the muscle memory was still there. Still remembered exactly what to do at every opportunity. And out of all the versions since the original PC one, I think they finally nailed the controls on a joypad, because they've always been sort of slightly off. So yeah, it's only £1.59 on the Switch store at the minute. So it's
a bargain.
Yeah, it'd be rude not to, really, wouldn't it?
Perhaps for that price, certainly.
I think they've got the old, the legendary John St. John to re-record a bunch of his lines for it as well. So, which is awesome. But yeah, that's literally all I've been doing. It's just God of War and God of War and God of War this last couple of weeks. But I have just finished that, so I can move on to something else.
Well, Gordon's obviously got Ragnarok with lots of hearts after it. Susie said you didn't cry at the end.
No, but I nearly did at the start. It's not really a spoiler because it's right at the start, but he has to kill his pet wolf, and I don't like animals dying.
No, I don't either, to be fair. So, Mark said it's a 60-hour HBO series up there with anything in all media. And Gordon says what Mark said, not been that engrossing since Band of Brothers. There we go. Interesting. Okay, thanks for that, Pete. Eddie, anything you've been playing?
I've played quite a few games since last time we chatted, I think.
I was going to say, yeah, it's been quite a while, yeah.
yeah. So I might just do recap the last 2 weeks, which actually I've probably played more in the last 2 weeks than I have for a while. So yeah, I've actually played not quite a pre-order, but I bought a game very close to launch. I actually played it straight away, which is very unusual for me. And it was Bayonetta 3 on the old Switch.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you played it as well. Well, I was thinking, did you talk about it in the last one? Because I missed the last once.
Yeah. No, I completely forgot. It's good.
Yeah, so fantastic game. Very up and down with it, to be honest. It's very stuck 10 years ago, both graphically, gameplay, story-wise. Everything is just what you remember of games like early PS3 era. However, that's kind of its positive as well, because there's no games like it at the moment. It's like, because I started playing it and I was like, graphics are just kind of frame rates dropping. The graphics just don't look great. They're visually pleasant and everything like that, just because of how well it's been sort of designed. But there's a lot of bad graphical problems with it. And
I didn't really pick up on anything.
Sorry?
I didn't really pick up on anything like that. I just thought it looked fine. But
I kept getting textures popping in and out, and just everything just seemed very frame rate was dropping quite a lot of the time. And yeah, it's just basically press X to win. I just keep randomly. But again, there's not anything out here there that is as well made like this, that plays like this out there at the moment. And again, that is why that's its strength as well. I just, in the back of my mind, all I kept thinking is, if only this was made for current gen or even PS4 or something like that, it would have been probably game of the year, I think, for me, because it could have done with a lot more grunt to get a little bit more out of it, I think. But really, but at the same time, it was like a roller coaster that I really enjoyed. It was just so wacky, so interesting, and there's no games out there like this at the moment, and because of that, it's just totally worth it. Absolutely.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, I beat it. Yeah, I beat it last week.
So I can't help but feel like the end, and without giving anything away, I just can't help but feel like the ending is going to piss off a lot of the fan base.
The ending shit.
I'm more interested in Susie's comment, which is watching Pete play Bayonetta 3. I've never been more confused in my life.
Well, I said in the 52 game challenge chat, I used the term playing loosely because it's just hammering the X button until the next cutscene starts, because you can't tell what's going on screen. It's just absolutely batshit insane.
Yeah, there's so many enemies that it's just take over the view when you're like watching them. It's just like because the enemies are quite big, aren't they?
Yeah. And at the beginning of the game, especially, which also repeats towards, is that a spoiler? I don't know, but it also kind of repeats towards the end of the game. There's just like the background's like all swirling around and stuff. There's massive enemies. The camera's flying around and stuff. You must be about 5% of the screen at times because it's like the enemies are that big and the camera's zoomed out that far. It's impossible to know what's going on, and quite often it's impossible to know what's enemy and what's friend on screen as well because you have like demons popping in and helping you fight and stuff like that. It's just it's mental, but it's fun. It's good mental.
So much fun, but again, another thing that annoys me about it is you control a character like 40% of the game, which isn't Bayonetta, and I really couldn't get on with her. I was like, I just felt like my moveset was gimped. I think so. The best thing about Bayonetta games is the parry system. It just feels so satisfying. I've never played a game that like does parrying as well as that. And then when you control this girl, it just takes that away from you. You've got a block mechanic, and it just didn't feel like it flowed as well.
I see me talking about Viola. Yeah. I enjoyed her bits because it felt more like Devil May Cry. But I hated the bits where you play as Jean, where you're doing like the side-scrolling stealth stuff. I really hated those bits. And they called them side chapters as well, but they're not skippable. So how the hell are they side chapters?
Yeah. No, to be honest, I kind of I preferred playing that as than Viola, but I think it only needed to happen twice. It overstayed its welcome a bit. What was cool about that is I just thought, it's an ode to what's it called, elevator action, because I like elevator action style levels where you go in doors, go down elevators, but then it expands on it a bit further than that. And I really enjoyed just the nod to it, but like you said, it happened too many times for it to be fun.
The game it reminded me of was the N-Gage port of Splinter Cell, which I guess was very elevator action-y. But that's just that's the weird places my head goes to. Is like some really obscure port of a game on a mobile phone that no one bought.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think I only died once in the whole game, which kind of like again I think compared to Bayonetta 2, it's very simplified. I think.
I found it to be the easiest one of the series.
Yeah,
no problem whatsoever playing it.
And I guess that's the Nintendo-ness of it. But again, I could have upped the difficulty, which I don't know. I always like playing things on normal. I think that's the way it should have been designed. And plus, I do get a bit frustrated easily, so sometimes I just put them down to easy. I've been dropping a lot of games down to easy recently. However, that definitely wasn't one of them.
There's no shame in playing easy.
No.
As you get older, your reactions drop, don't they? So
Definitely.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
So, as well after that, this weekend I was close to my 52 game challenge crescendo, if I can say it properly. And I thought I was watching Callum Retro Ghetto, and he did a whole day of playing video games and seeing how many could beat. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do that. Sounds like a great way to finish off the 52 game challenge.
Yeah.
And so I just planned a few games that I wanted to play and did that. So I just went all retro and beat the 52 game challenge. However, some of them I've not counted them. Like I did Escaluda 2 on the Xbox 360, which is a shmup. I used about 1,000 continues. So for me, that doesn't count for me. It doesn't count. But yeah, the ones that I did beat was Aladdin on the SNES. Fantastic game. Such a good game. Halfway, it got really hard and had to use a continue. And after that, it just pissed it. To be honest, last time I played it, I got really stuck on like the magic carpet section. But for some reason, I just did it in one go this time. I don't know. I was really impressed with myself. The next game I beat properly was Midnight Resistance. I got to the boss.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the Mega Drive, this one.
Mega
Drive 11. Got to the boss of that, and then I had to do it again because I died. So I played through it pretty much twice, just so I could see the ending properly. But yeah, Midnight Resistance, such a good game. It's basically Contra, but like a budget version.
I came across that the other day, and I'd forgotten about it, and I was like, yeah, must play that again. So
Yeah, but the music on that is top tier. I love it.
okay.
Such a fantastic soundtrack on that one. It plays really weird because it's supposed to have like it's an arcade game and it's supposed to have like rotary controls.
Yeah.
However, what you do is you kind of like hold the button. Well, it's auto fire all the way, and you kind of like press the button to sort of like hold it in place, if that makes sense. And then you press up to do your bomb actions, which is very strange, but it does work. It just some sections it's a bit strange on. But yeah, finally beat that. I've tried that a few times and always died on the boss. And the last one I beat on the day to get me over the 52 game challenge was Hook on the Mega CD.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
played
game,
that one. Yeah.
such a good game. I had to use continue a few times, but no, fantastic. Really cool Japanese. It's actually designed by Japanese people. But the music on there, because it's from the Mega CD, it's like orchestral and so good just to listen to it all. And it's got like sort of like acting scenes halfway through on the cutscenes, which
Yeah.
man, if I played that back in the day, because I never had a Mega CD back in the day, but if I had that back in the day, I would have been blown away. But yeah, 3 games, and then just to finish things up, what I'm played this weekend, an Xbox exclusive game called The Gunk. Flipping loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's a shame. It's a game that like people say there's no good Xbox exclusive games. This is really good.
You say there's no good Xbox exclusive games.
No, there isn't. Well, only some Xbox exclusive games are good.
Gears of War.
Oh shit.
1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3 are really good.
I mean Halo, yeah, but I mean they're all like repeated and they all pretty much fall into the same category. Whereas the Gunk, it's a weird game. Like it's like these couple of girls, I think, crash land into like this planet, and it's covered with gunk that's like taking over the wildlife. So it's kind of made it like a sort of like a desolate planet, and you go around sucking it all up. It's a bit like cross between Mario Sunshine and Ratchet and Clank, along with and then crossed with Firewatch. Is it Firewatch, the PS4 game where you're like in a control tower?
No idea.
I don't know. Yeah, it's sort of like a sort of story-driven sort of game. But yeah, fantastic, really good game. Like it's not really there's not much like action. It's like more story and like sucking up gunk. But just absolutely fell in love with that game. I couldn't put it down. I had to play it all in pretty much one sitting. And the game that I'm playing now is what's it called? Nobody Saves the Earth, which again I'm playing on Game Pass, and it's sort of like a Zelda clone. But like basically you're this guy called Nobody who's can morph into different creatures, and the more you go through the game, the more like creatures that you can sort of like turn into, and then obviously you've got different abilities and stuff, and it's so wacky, but like it just so works. It's got like it's the most addictive sort of like leveling up system that I've ever played on like a game like that, and because it's by the Guacamole. I'll get there.
How many pronunciations are we going to have on that one?
It's by the Guacamole team, and who do like this really cool platformer game. So if you've ever played that before, you'll know the sort of like wackiness that entails. But it's the first type of game that they've done like this, and they've just hit the nail on the head. I've not beat it yet. I'm just over halfway, and again, proper taking over my life. Just addicted to it.
Sounds like a busy few days then.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. No, that's good. I've got through quite a few there. James mentioned you've turned up for a live stream, which is
I know,
yeah, that's good. Good evening to Martin at Hobby Lodge, and also good evening to Tony as well. I can see they're in the chat. Mark's going on about the upping the difficulty level on Bayonetta. I think we were talking about there. Well, Mark also says the final boss on SNES Aladdin is hard.
Did it in one. For some reason, I've managed. It was halfway I had difficulty on that one.
Ghoul Payne's here as well. Good evening, mate. Hope you're all right. Yep. So there we go. So that's what we've been playing lately. If you've got any comments on those, put them in the comments in the video below. Do let us know if you've played any of those, what you think of them. Right. So we've reached that point in the broadcast to talk about this week's subject of the week, which I'm pretty sure James would be delighted about. He's been sitting there for half an hour. He's not said anything yet. Been very, very quiet. But we're going to talk import games this week, which, as I said at the start, is something I know absolutely very, very little about, and it's a subject I've not really explored in any great detail. But I do know that quite a few people are very much into it, and certain aspects of gaming come with it. Titles not released on PAL versions and perhaps better games over there. James, it was your subject of the week, so I mean, obviously the title of your channel gives it away a little bit as well, but
kind of.
Just take us a little bit through, your sort of introduction to import games and why they're such a passion of yours.
Well, I kind of stumbled into it, really, in a way, back in the day. I didn't really... I mean, I'm talking probably very early 90s, maybe 91, probably. I wasn't aware of, anything that wasn't in the shops in the UK at that point. And I just happened to stumble across this advert in the local paper for a second-hand Mega Drive game I was after. And I didn't know. I mean, this is back in the day where you found somebody up in the newspaper and you went round the house to buy a game.
That's it, yep.
It was before the internet. This is really, really ancient. And I turned up at this guy's house, or my dad took me anyway. I was too young, I didn't drive. To buy this game. And when I got there, it was a Japanese game. I thought, what's this? This is no good to me. It was this game, actually.
Well, we got the Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Yeah, which is the Japanese version.
Yeah.
And it came with this, which at the time I hadn't got a clue what it was.
And that's the honeybee
Converter.
Converter, yeah.
Because obviously, if you know your Mega Drive, they don't fit in a UK Mega Drive because the cartridge shape is different. So you needed the converter to change the shape of it, basically, because that's the only thing that stops you playing it on a normal Mega Drive. So anyway, I bought this game because I think at the time it was cheaper than like the going rate for the the proper like English version. And so I bought it anyway, and that kind of started me off, really. And I thought, well, this is all right. This works just as well as an English game, and at the time they tended to be cheaper. At least second-hand ones did, because nobody wanted them, being Japanese in particular. And it kind of started and kicked off from that, really. And that led me into buying other cheap Japanese games, because I'd got my converter. But then, obviously, it snowballs then. You start looking at other things. And I thought, well, I could... Because it looks a bit messy when you've got the converter and the cartridge sticking in the top of the Mega Drive. It's like a skyscraper. I thought it would have been much nicer to have an import console, so you didn't need the converter. So that then opens up another rabbit hole. You buy the import console, and then you suddenly realise, well, this isn't quite like the PAL machine. This looks a hell of a lot better with no borders and a faster speed. It's how the game should be played, which at the time... It was all new to me. I didn't know anything about games being slowed down and borders on PAL consoles. And it snowballs from there then. After the Mega Drive, my brother's got a PAL Super Nintendo. What's an American Super Nintendo like? And you get one of them and you think, wow, this is so much better. And you just can't go back. It's like Pandora's box has been opened.
Before you know it, yeah.
Yeah, and before you know it, here we are today, 20 odd years later, and you don't buy anything else but Japanese games mostly. But it's just the fact that there's so much more choice and stuff that never came outside of Japan that you've got access to. And I think back in the day, there was what appealed to me in particular was the fact you could have things that 90% of other people hadn't got, and that really appealed at the time.
That exclusivity, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And some people, obviously, things would come out earlier in Japan as well most of the time compared with this country or, Europe and America. And you could say to somebody, well, I've got that, I'm playing it. And that's say, don't talk crap, it's not out yet. but you've got it in your machine and you're playing it. I found that fascinating at the time.
Yeah, I mean, my two experiences around the same time as well, because I remember reading like CNVG, and it'd have adverts in the back. This was before the Mega Drive got an official release over, and it said grey imports. And because a friend of mine wanted to get one, and I told this story before, but we both sat there reading this magazine, grey imports. He said, I don't want a grey Mega Drive, I want a black one. So that was what they called them back then.
Yeah.
And then of course. A friend of his at school got hold of I can't remember if it was a Japanese or an American cartridge, and of course he said he wouldn't fit the slot, and he said, oh no, Carl reckons, he said, if you file the size down on your Mega Drive port,
that's right,
that they'll fit in. He said, I don't fancy doing that. I was like, so that was my initial experience of it there. I mean, you mentioned Moonwalker, which Danny said was a class game back in the day. Moonwalker stroke young James, too many jokes. Yeah, well, Joe said you've seen Joe's channel. She picked up a Honeybee cartridge recently. She's been playing bare knuckle on it. Nice with us in the chat, and he says, do you need Honeybee to change the region to? As you could just file out the cart slots as we hold the Mega Drive, otherwise, which is what we mentioned. Is it like Pikmin? Probably. I'm guessing. There we go. But yeah, I mean that was my experience of it. But I mean, I again, it's just something that I never sort of went down. But a friend of mine did actually get. I think the first one he got a copy of. I've only got the PAL version. Was Talmit's Adventure, which was known as Marvel
Land, yeah.
And that was the first game I played, because when I got my Mega Drive, he lent me his converter and a copy of that, and
right.
that was great fun to play. That's why I picked up the PAL version a couple of years back.
Yeah, that's another thing that fascinates me about how names change of games as well.
Yeah.
How it's known as one thing in Japan and then something totally different in the rest of the world.
I still know it's Marvel Land. I'm happy to remember it's Marvel Land. That's what I played it as.
Yeah, I mean, it's a much better name in my opinion, and the box is much nicer.
So, Bare Knuckle or Streets of Rage, which one's better? Because as well, what's interesting on that one depends on what region console you play it on.
Yeah.
The screen is actually different. You can have both screens for Streets of Rage and Bare Knuckle are on all the carts.
That's right.
I wonder,
which name do you prefer, though?
I was just going to say, I wonder how that would work on
Knuckle,
my. I wonder how it'd work on my Mega Drive, because I've got an Asian one, but it's PAL. So I'm wondering whether it'll be Bare Knuckle.
I reckon that'll come up Streets of Rage.
Yeah.
Because I think if you put a PAL cartridge in a Japanese machine, it comes up Bare Knuckle, doesn't it? But I think Asian PAL is the same as an English machine, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, it's an experiment. I might have a look.
Yeah, it's worth looking.
I didn't know that would be the case. I've learned something there. That's good. Pete, what about yourself? What was your earliest experience of import games?
It was dirty copied games, actually. Two games on the PS1, really. The first one being Metal Gear Solid, because it was taking its sweet time coming out in this country. And I ended up getting a copied American version of it. And I remember putting it in and seeing it in black and white and thinking my TV was dead. But yeah, looking into it, realising I had to get a SCART cable, I managed to get a SCART cable from my PS1, plugged it into my TV, and then found out that for some reason the SCART port was knackered on the TV as well. So it was like all the sort of bright colours would sort of bleed out to the right on everything. So I had the choice of black and white or like weird sort of psychedelic colour bleeding. But yeah, playing Metal Gear Solid, that was my first proper experience in import gaming. And then I also went down the same route with Silent Hill, because it looked like that wasn't getting a release here at all at first. But yeah, they were like my two sort of first forays into import gaming. Didn't really do any more than that up until I started the Soul collecting game, because I stayed pretty constant in up to date consoles. I kind of like sold the old ones off to fund the newer collections. I had a couple of PS3 games that were imported. Like I think I got a copy of Turok, the reboot on the PS3, which is absolute hidden gem, by the way. It's a great game. That was American, but obviously by the time that came on, that sort of generation came on, there was absolutely no difference. But yeah, it was like when I mentioned the Mega Drive. I'd got rid of my Mega Drive, my original childhood Mega Drive, ages ago to like fund my PS1 games and stuff like that. So, and I didn't get a new one actually until I picked up this old hated thing.
The AT games console.
Yeah, I picked that up from Game like years later, and this is region free. And then my wife Susie found that Asian PAL one just next to the rubbish chute in our flats, waiting to be chucked down, and she rescued it for me. And because because I had no idea what that was. I'd been given a bunch of like just a random bag of PlayStation games, Mega Drive games, which include the Punisher on the Mega Drive, which is a nice £500 game. But yeah, we don't talk about that when the guy who gave me the games is around. But yeah, it had a Japanese copy of Jewel Master in it, which just slotted straight in and played. And so I had no idea that there were any like region protection on Mega Drives up until quite recently. But I got really into from my love of like Famiclones and stuff like that. I got really into collecting Famicom games, and I absolutely love the Famicom games just for how the cartridges look as much as anything. Because they're all different shapes and sizes, all different colours. It's just like awesome. You get the little IRM ones with the little red lights on it and stuff like that. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, for me, that's as much as just I'm not that kind of collector, but it's just as much for me having them on the shelf, looking at them, as it is for anything else. I love collecting for the Sega Saturn now. I love collecting Japanese for that because because it's so easy to play them. And B, because a lot of the time the games are a lot more arcadey than they are like on PlayStation consoles and stuff. So you don't really need the text as much to understand what's going on. And the games tend to be quite a lot cheaper. It's like trying to think some of the games I've got on there, which I've got for like a fraction of the cost of what they would be to get the UK versions, like stuff like Dynamite Deck or stuff like that, which would have been Die Hard Arcade over here. So much cheaper to get the Japanese version. And I've also got into like the SNES, like Super Famicom, and the US SNES ones as well. I'm just looking over there because that's where all my games are. So it's it's sort of reminding me. I meant to do a bit of organisation and get a load of stuff next to me, like the Mega Drive I was talking about and stuff like that. But I spent too much time trying to find my Green Ranger Funko Pops because of the sad news today. So I ran out of organisational time. But yeah. I love the fact, like with the SNES games and stuff, I like how I can get something like I've got like a copy of Chrono Trigger, just like there, and it cost me $3.99. Whereas getting like a Western version, it'd like break my bank basically. Yeah. Things like that. I love the fact. I mean, because I do emulation as well, so I can sort of download the like English speaking one, but I can still have a copy of the game on my shelf, looking nice, and say I do own the game and stuff like that. So. Yeah, it's only something I've come into recently, but I absolutely, I love doing it. I love getting sort of the cheaper bargains. I love, like I said, with the Famicom games, I love how they look. It's like, it takes me back to collecting like Pogs and stuff and different colours of like, you get like a Slammer and occasionally you'd get like a yellow one and you're like, oh wow, a yellow one, it's just yellow plastic. I've got like yellow plastic games on there now that I absolutely love the look of and stuff like that. But it also helps me with like, because I'm not a massive collector anymore, and a couple of the things I do collect are very lackadaisically collecting the 10 Gen unlicensed NES games on the NES.
Very common. Yep, so got Tetris there. Yeah,
which that's the sort of big one of the series because I'm not going to get into it, but they were sort of ordered to be destroyed. But yeah, they were like a US exclusive line. And I think there was 20 of them released, and I've got 16 of them. So yeah, I've sort of got into that kind of thing because the American games there was all sorts of different shapes and colours of cartridges and stuff like that. Some of them get quite pricey, but the 10 gen ones are mostly nicely attainable. And yeah, I also collect the mini consoles as well, which some of them end up being Japanese exclusive. Like I got a couple behind my head up here, the couple of arcade ones, the Taito Egret 2, which is that one, and then the Astro City, which you can get on Astro. You can get them both now in the UK, but they were like sort of limited run ones where they're exactly the same machine but with like a UK box. But for the actual like machine is just in Japanese sort of thing. It was initially just released over there, and it's cheaper to import them from like Amazon Japan than it is to get them from the Western sellers. So yeah, it helps a lot with that. It's a shame I'd not ordered it sooner and it wasn't here right now. But I've recently I've got an order the Japanese PC Engine Mini as well coming.
Yes, you mentioned that before we started.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just it's they have like nice like variants and things like that. The PC Engine ones, like because obviously the console is different in each country. So we got the like core graphics one.
Yeah.
The Japanese one's a normal PC Engine one, which is like a white one, I think with red writing on it, and then they had the US one, which is a turbo graphics, which was like bigger for some reason.
It's not quite a mini
then. Well, everything American is bigger is better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very true.
But you say not quite a mini, but this is only slightly smaller than the original PC Engine anyway. But it's nice that they've got like different variations and stuff like that, and you can like pick up things like that from Japan and stuff. After ordering the Japanese one, I did look into the US one, and they are going from between like 350 to 500 quid. So I don't think I'm going to be completing the Trinity anytime soon. But
have you thought about getting them? Have you seen people do 3D printed like cards to put in the minis? So it looks like the Hue card in there.
I've seen that, but it's I'm trying to cut down on buying useless stuff. And
they do look nice. They're only cheap as well. They're only a few quid.
I've had to talk myself out of spending 30 quid on a little keychain of Mimia's head from God of War this weekend. So I don't want to go down that.
Good grief.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of stuff like that because there's like the whole Tower of Power for the Mega Drive ones as well and everything like that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay, mate. Well, we'll come back to you in a second. I'll come to Eddie in a second. Just go to the chat. Griffo's ear is Oki seems to have got stuck, but good to see you, mate. Hope you're okay. Gordon says when we got Thrill Kill when we were younger, and then it never got released in the UK.
Never got released anywhere.
Trevor had Technocop on the Mega Drive back in the 90s. Nath blames Eddie and Dylan for getting into import games, mainly Dylan, which is convenient because he's in Chicago at the moment. It would been good to have him on here tonight. I did think about that this week, and then I realised he was going to be away. Nath's gone a bit camp. Griffo. Fatal Frame sounds much better than Project Zero. There's a conversation going on in the chat, I think. 37 Retros here. Good to see you again, my friend. Jap Import is the way to go for the Sega Saturn. Shining Force 3, 125 quid used in the UK. Still Japanese version, 15 quid.
There is very stark differences to that as well. Well, I'll go into that later anyway.
Oh, we're going to come to you in a second, aren't we? So you can give that one there. Golden Gamer Tony says, you're all we youngsters I grew up beginning at the 1980s when the Spectrum was king of the retro computers. Griffo recently bought a US Castlevania on the original Xbox. It was £30. Pally's over 100, so it's definitely going to go down. Look at Room Zoom, for example. Definitely going to go US on that one. Jangir says, Pogs Mega Drive, now you're talking. There we go. That
was my childhood.
I remember Pogs. I'm thinking of Tazos, aren't I? Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, passed me by that one, I think. Jap Saturn games are just standard CD cases, hold much better than the cardboard ones that we got stuck with in the UK. That's another bone of contention with those. £30 for a keychain, says Gordon. You're a dedicated gamer.
I just want it dangling from my bag at the back like it does on Kratos. I just thought it'd be one of them things where someone would see it and clock what it was and think I was the coolest guy in the world.
Early PAL Saturn cases were god awful. They fixed it with plastic ones, but horses rebolted by then. Japanese cases are really nice. Popful Male Mega CD should have been released in the UK. It's criminal that it wasn't, says Danny. Never heard of that one, I'm afraid, so I can't have much of that one. Go on then, Eddie. What about your experiences with import games? What first introductions and experiences?
So yeah, like I was quite early on, just like James was, like in the early 90s. Growing up, I had import games around me. It's quite abundant, really. However, I had to travel out to go get it. So my introduction was we used to go to a car boot stroke market, a place called Hemswell Market, which was sort of like on the way to Lincoln. And it was like an old R&F base. And it was absolutely huge back in the day. And back then, it was filled with video game resellers, probably about four normal ones and then 4 import ones. There was absolutely loads back in the early 90s. Yeah. And I don't fully remember why I got it, other than maybe I got told this is the only way you can get it. But yeah, I remember my first import game was on the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo, and it was Parodius, Parodius on the Super Famicom. And I just remember seeing the box and falling in love with it. I remember drawing it, like all the artwork that was on it and everything like that. And it's really stuck in my mind. And I absolutely fully loved the game. I remember playing Gradius on the NES back in the before I had this, and this was just a step up for me. I just, like, I don't know, it just fell head over heels. It was, to me, I didn't fully know what Japanese culture was or anything back then, but everything I thought of Japan revolved around Parodius. Just because it was my first introduction to it, really. Yeah, it really was. And like, yeah, this market, there was so many import like sellers and stuff like that. Like, it was just so good to see. And like, I honestly can't remember all the stuff that I got, because as well, like at this market, it was pretty much all the sellers were, if you had a game, you could trade like for like £3. So it was like almost like renting games, except you kind of owned them for a little bit. Obviously, if you took a bad game in, you wouldn't get like a nice quality one back, but so you'd have to pay a bit extra and stuff like that. But yeah, it was the central hub of how I found out about so many good games. And I just remember like seeing so many good games, and for some reason I don't know why, but one of the games that I really want to get, I've still not got it to this day, but I always remember playing it quite a lot as a kid, and it was the Rocketeer on the Super Nintendo, but the Super Famicom version of it. And I remember trading it in, going, this is terrible, but then every time I saw it, I used to trade it back. It was one of them games, I just don't know, it was really bad, but like you couldn't help, well, for me, I couldn't help pick up. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I also remember seeing at this market, have you ever seen the Super Nintendo TV that's like on the top? It's got like cartridges and stuff.
I've never seen that.
James nodded. Put the Super Nintendo game in the top, and you'd be able to play Super Famicom game on the TV. Quite a rare thing. I remember seeing that as a kid and thinking it was some kind of knockoff, like cheap thing, because I've never seen anything, nothing, no magazine ever reported about this TV. And I remember seeing it going like, oh yeah, this is so crap. Like, why would anyone want this? And then like nowadays, it's like super rare and like super sought after. Like, I wish I had this back in the day. It was probably like £100, like James says. Like the import stuff it didn't have the premium import stuff does now. I don't understand why, because obviously it had to come over and there was some kind of price associated to it. But I remember as well, like I had Mega Drive imports as well, and I think it was the first stumbling block I ever had with importing was on the Mega Drive. I imported Earthworm Jim 2. Like James was saying, we got these games way before anyone else. And at the time, I had the Mega Drive. I didn't have it. I only had a Mega Drive at one point and a Super Nintendo at another, and then traded backwards and forwards. Now that time I had the Mega Drive, and I remember going to school, going, "We've got Earthworm Jim 2 coming. You guys need to come over and we'll play it." And I can remember having like 4 or 5 lads at my house, Earthworm Jim, and we put it in, and then
NTSC
all
only.
the text that came across, and it said, "Will not work on this region console."
Oh no.
Yeah, I wasn't as clever as James of like having a region specific console. I had the converters just because I couldn't afford to do the two. Like for me as a kid, I traded games with my friends. Like that's how we kind of like got to play a lot of the games. So to have like a region specific one, I wouldn't be able to trade it with anyone. Everyone would be like, "What's this?" So I only had like a select amount of like import games. So yeah, like I thought I was being like the king of the crop here. Like, yeah, I got this game way before everyone, and then you just and it cost like probably more than it did normally because I got it so early. But yeah, that was a real stumbling block. But I think I also had like a region specific N64 as soon as it came out as well. I don't know how that came about, but I always remember getting Star Fox on it, and that game cost £90.
Yeah,
it was like it was Super Nintendo was like games were pretty much the same when they came out, nothing more on, and then when they came like a bit older, they was really cheap. N64 was like a totally different like ball game. It was like the prices like doubled for import games.
I was going to say, because paying that price back in the day, given today's current, exchange rate and inflation, is probably about £1 million, isn't it? Now?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, people complain about game prices now, but yeah, like what we had back then, it was like ridiculous.
That's right.
Like, I don't know how.
They were back then.
Because back then, I remember like doing like a whole summer's worth of like working with my dad to get my N64. Like to pay for it. So I don't know how I got the money to get a 90 quid game. I just don't understand it.
A mate of mine got Street Fighter 2 when that came out, PAL. He paid 65 quid for that at the time, and I was like, we used to balk about that. Hemswell Cliff, which Griffo said he knows it quite well. I thought it was like Japanese Alan. You go and see Japanese Alan at the events and get your import games from. Whereas up north, you go and see Hemswell Cliff, but
not the same anymore.
I had the same sort of thing. I thought he looked like someone who'd fight like Works Up Gary or something.
Yeah. I'll try again on that one. The delivery probably didn't work so well on that. But,
I was trying to work out the same joke in my head, but I just couldn't.
Yeah. Go and see Hemswell Cliff. He'll sort you out.
Right.
Then Jagir says, "Have you guys got Japanese imports of The Revenge of Shinobi?"
No, yeah, the box is terrible.
The box is terrible.
Shinobi. Yeah, how normally Japanese artwork is so much nicer than the PAL. The Japanese Revenge of Shinobi is terrible.
Yeah,
it's so dull and boring.
Well, the thing is as well, like there's like black bits and then like really dark blue bits that are slightly black but not. And it's just so jarring how it works together.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking there. It's a terrible box. It's one of the worst Japanese cases, I'd say.
I don't know. I've seen some. They're like everyone, like Lords, how good like Japanese box art is, but there is some stinkers out there. It really is.
Oh like, yeah, no doubt.
Like I don't know if you've ever seen Street Racer for the Super Famicom. If you know that game, it's sort of like a Mario Kart clone.
Yeah.
And basically, you know how like we have games like Sideways, and Super Famicom like Long Way,
vertical. Yeah,
it looks like they've like stretched it down, like and pulled it out, and then the PAL box are on there, so it's got like the black strip on the left, and then like the yellow. It just looks so wrong, but like. I also kind of like really like it because of that.
Yeah, it's like really lazy ass design, isn't it?
Yeah. But I was with you, Eddie, when you got that Super Star Wars Super Famicom game from Vintage Gamer, and I love the artwork on that so much better than the PAL one. It really was. It just looked so much better.
Yeah, there's something about like the like how it looks, like the PAL game. Sorry, I really like how PAL games are like sideways, but I don't know. There's something theatrical of like how like Super Famicom boxes are a little bit thinner, but like vertical. There's
Do you think
something
it,
about it. It's
do you think it's
Fit
because
on
really
a
it reminds you
shelf.
of the Tarte screen?
well, maybe that's what it is. Yeah,
They fit on the shelves better as well when they're up vertical. It's like the same as like the Mega Drive cases and everything.
yeah.
I mean, I've only got
Well, the
I've only
same
got
thing,
one boxed. I've only got one boxed Super Famicom game, and that's Seiken Densetsu 3 or whatever.
the blue
But
one.
no, the green one, the one you gave it me actually. But yeah, they do look better on the shelf than the others.
Yeah.
Saying that I've only got one box SNES game.
So that's how he got started. So I mean, over the years, I know James has carried on with his importing. I mean, has it got easier or more difficult nowadays to get these games on import? Obviously, given the changes that have happened, certainly over the last 3 or 4 years, particularly with Brexit and COVID and rising prices. Is it now more difficult, more costly to import games from abroad, James?
I think if you're looking at like buying stuff from Japan, well, it probably is possibly more expensive than it used to be, but unless it's something like really niche that you can't get from a UK seller, I'd try and avoid doing that if at all possible. I'd always look to try and buy whatever game it is from a UK seller, then you haven't got to worry about the import duties. There are instances, obviously, when it's a rare game and you might need to look at getting it from Japan, and then, well, you've just got to, suck it up and pay the price, haven't you? If it's a game you want, you've just got to do it.
That's how I've been trying to do it with the 10 yuan games, which is why it's taking me so long to collect the full set. Is I've been trying to wait until somebody in the UK's got a copy.
Yeah,
you tend
Makes
to pay
sense.
more. You tend to pay more for the game itself, but you're cutting out on tax and shipping and everything like that, and it tends to
Without
work out
doubt.
cheaper in the long run.
Yeah, without doubt.
I actually find it worse importing from America than Japan. I just
Really?
find the fees like just stack up so much quicker from America as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
very rare I buy from America.
The for modern stuff at least, Amazon Japan are amazing for like
Yeah.
import price and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like ordering that PC Engine Mini. It's cost me £12 for shipping, and it's like it's expected to be here tomorrow, and I ordered it on Friday.
Yeah,
It's
incredible.
like
You're right.
crazy.
There must be something that Amazon are doing that like I
Yeah,
don't know because
Really?
like
Doesn't sound like Amazon, does it?
yeah. They're usually such a like straight up company, aren't they?
Yeah. All that tax they pay,
well that's it.
But it's the
Because
same.
they don't pay tax anywhere. Like it's just free for. But like the thing is, like I've imported stuff from other places where you can prepay the tax and you don't have to pay like that handling fee, which that is the worst thing. That handling fee is like 10 quid. Doesn't matter how much tax you pay, 2 quid, 200 quid. It's always a 10 quid fee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amazon Japan, they just it's all right.
they just do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
What's tax? But yeah, Susie ordered me the Astro City Mini V for Christmas as well, and she ordered that, and it took like 4 days to get here. And in those 4 days, it was in 4 different countries. It like started off in Japan, then went to Hong Kong, then went to Germany, and then it came to England in that time. And it's just mental how quick it was.
It's funny because if you do it the other way, it's not that quick. Because I've got stuff from the Savvy James, and it takes like a week. I've got something from Bai, which is a import buying company. That's taken again 5 days. It was like, and that was from the actual purchase to arrival. But if you do it the other way, it's like 2 or 3 weeks. If you send something to Japan, it takes forever. It's like,
God.
and it also costs twice as much to send it that way.
Yeah.
Ollie's here, 8-bit boy. Good evening, mate. Hope you're all right. Just on the subject, though, what about from games from mainland Europe? Because that's obviously changed in the last 3 years or so with Brexit. Do any of you buy games from sort of France, Spain, Germany, etc.?
Only occasionally.
Yeah, I did get Cockatoo Funfair on the PS2 recently. It's part of my light gun subset that I'm going for, which I think was only released in like mainland Europe. And that I got it for like you can buy it over here and it'd be like anywhere between CAX have it listed for 15 quid, but it's not in stock anywhere. And you buy it on eBay and it's like 40 quid or something. And I got that for like €4 from France with free shipping. And it took I think about 3 weeks to actually arrive, but it arrived.
3 weeks, and you're getting something you ordered from Japan on Friday, coming tomorrow.
yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. James, you know, you're not bought much from there at all now.
Not much. The only time I've really done that is when I was after the Wii U set, and there was some like obscure Wii U games, and there were some in France and Italy. I tried to buy. I don't know if Brexit had anything to do with it, but I had a couple of people who I'd bought items, and then they said they wouldn't ship to Britain and refunded me. So that's the only issues I've had.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, since Brexit, I've had that quite a lot as well.
Really?
But as well, like, because if you buy stuff from eBay put all the fees, and they do, because they did global shipping program.
Yeah.
Cost a fortune now, like, to buy something, because they put like basically 20% on anything.
Right.
However, I think if you buy like from a company in Europe, I think it's 150 quid threshold before they charge.
Ah, right.
So if I bought stuff and I've not had any fees, but once you do, I find again it's like American fees. They really stack up quick after you go over 150 quid. But with eBay, they just charge you anyway because they've got the global shipping program, and they do it that way.
Right to try to buy parts from Europe, but they don't send to the UK anymore. I think they were trying to come from Poland. Not sure what she's trying to build. Car, maybe? I don't know. Parts for what, Rach? I'm guessing micros or something like that. So I'm obviously that's going to be a pitfall for anybody wanting to start or thinking about getting into collecting the import games. You've got to consider prices coming in as well, and tax and handling fees and shipping fees and container fees and
I do miss before Brexit, like getting games from Japan. It was like a lottery. I don't know if you ordered many back in the day, James, but like it was always hit or miss if you got the fees or not. It was like you'd be waiting for it to come along, and you'd be like, "Please don't have any fees. Please don't have any fees." And like sometimes it'll just knock on the door. Here it is, and then sometimes you get the knock on the door, and it'll be the red label. You owe X amount.
That's right. Yeah,
lost
that £20 bill to get your game. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I say, it was that you only had to pay the handling fee was always more than like the actual.
That's right. That's right.
It was the same from the US actually.
Yeah. Well, that was it. It was just, but like now it's so stringent. It's like you're going to get it. There's no two ways about it. You're going to get raped, like butt raped into it. So. But the Queen had to pay for a corgi somehow. Like it was, it cost a lot of money.
That's it. Rach would want a cable or a keyboard membrane or something like that. I mean, I imported a few VHS I got from America. I don't think I got stung for anything like that at all. But
it was just like a lottery as whether you would or not, and what they declared it as well, depended on that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that's the sort of cost involved and how you started. So I mean, what somebody like me, for example, prime example. So I'm sat here. Somebody who doesn't sort of have an interest in import games, but now having listened to this, which some people probably would do, and think, well, actually, that does sound quite interesting. Titles I can't get over here on the PAL region. What would would you recommend in terms of someone wanting to go down the import route and sort of start a collection with? And I'll start with James, because I know you probably talked a bit about this on the Saturn streams with Birdzone. But in general, somebody wanting to get into the collecting Japanese, American, mainland PAL games, what would you sort of recommend to look at, and where would you start?
Well, I mean, obviously you can go import for anything really, but I think as a general rule, I'd say anything before 2000 is better import than it is PAL. And after 2000, it don't really make too much difference, other than the fact the games that you can't get PAL, then you want to import them after 2000. But I think probably the easiest console to collect import for is probably the Mega Drive, because 90% of the stuff works in any Mega Drive, and there's only like 10% that's region locked. So if, like Russ, you referred to earlier, you just file the cartridge slot on your PAL Mega Drive, you can play 90% of imported Mega Drive games without any issues. And it only tends to be the later ones, like Eddie mentioned, Earthworm Jim 2 didn't work. You know, that the much late, in PAL terms, like the Blue Spine games, some of them wouldn't work on an import machine. You'd have the same issue. You'd need a region lock converter to get them to run. But like I say, 90% will work fine. So I think the Mega Drive is the easiest option. But the SNES is fairly easy as well if you've got a converter. I mean, that'll run anything then. But the Mega Drive, it used to be cheap. Obviously, not cheap anymore, unfortunately. And then, you know, moving forward from there, you've obviously got the more exclusive sort of pinnacle of import gaming. You've got the PC Engine and the Neo Geo. That's kind of where you know, when you start rolling that snowball down the hill of the import games, that's where you eventually end up.
Expensive territory.
But then we're into expensive territory. Yeah, so you know,
I don't know, PC Engine. I don't know.
Some stuff's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, I've only got one PC Engine game and it was free, so I think Craig just gave it me because I was like, I was looking at that and a copy of Biohazard 2 on the PS1 at his stall, and he's just like, you can just have them both for £1. So I think, all right. I think it was Championship Wrestler, actually, if anyone's interested.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
My only PC Engine game.
And then moving forward from the Engine and the Geo, then you've gone forward to the Saturn and the PlayStation. You get into a bit more problem than with region locking, because obviously you need then a chip PlayStation or a modified one. With the Saturn, it's nice and easy. You can just buy a converter. And these days, obviously, you can get one to run repro games if you want to do it on a cheap skate basis, like I do sometimes.
Definitely nothing wrong with that.
Well, in certain circumstances.
Especially the prices that some of these games command.
Yeah, I mean, as Eddie knows, you know, some of the Saturn prices are mad these days for exclusive stuff what never came out here, because there's so much Saturn stuff that you can't get in, you know, outside of Japan. It's untrue. But a lot of it, unfortunately, is big money.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, there's obviously going to be a cost involved in doing something like this. So, I mean, can it be, you know, done relatively cheaply, James? Do you think, or?
I think you can certainly get into it on the cheap, because there are lots of cheap games available. You haven't got to buy the dear ones. You know, there's loads of stuff what's dirt cheap, especially stuff what maybe there's a bit of a language barrier. I mean, that tends to be dirt cheap because of the language barrier. But as Pete referred to, if you've got the ability to download English patches, well, that kind of gets around that problem. So you can definitely do it on the cheap.
I've noticed because I've been pricing up games recently. Those £10 games that were like RPGs and stuff like that was always cheap in Japan, because there is ways and means to patch them, have become a little bit valuable now. So like the Final Fantasies for the Super Nintendo, the Chrono Trigger and stuff like that. It's not. I think as well, some people just want to have something on the shelf to say that they've got it, and then play it some other ways and means, like either with an EverDrive or like maybe a Retro Freak, where you can patch the actual game and play it in the region that you're comfortable with understanding it. And yeah, these games are not £10 anymore. They're like 50, 60 quid.
Oh, really?
It's quite crazy, like how some of these have like really raised in price recently. And I can only think of how easy it is to patch these games now.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. I've learned
Yeah.
something today.
Yeah, because Jangir says just get an EverDrive, which you mentioned there a second ago, Eddie, about that.
That's certainly a cheaper option.
It is a cheaper option, but obviously, I think that there have been that certain ones aren't being made anymore. Is that right now? I'm not up on this sort of thing, so I've only got what people sort of saying. But wasn't the guy making them based in Ukraine or something? Or
Yeah, he
Yeah,
is.
pretty
He
much,
still,
yeah.
he still sells, and he's designing. To be honest, this is an import sort of like thing, but like he's making a, PC Engine. They have like these little hue cards that you stick in the front. Well, he's making one now that's just a hue card you plug into a PC Engine, and from that hue card you can play CD-based games from it.
right?
Oh, well.
Awesome.
And that is just, to me, mind blown. It's just crazy how something like that can exist. But yeah, that's
just hope-
supposedly he's planning to get that to be released next summer. Like, such crazy things. I mean, I know the Mega Drive has one where you can put the cartridge in and play CD games, but like for it to be a hue card, oh man, it's like a credit card that plays anything.
I just hope it's not very expensive, because the one thing that's kept me from buying a PC Engine is the fact that I want the Terror Onion thing to the back of it, and that's like super expensive. So yeah, it's
It'd be the same kind of price. To be honest,
so
in some ways, the Terror Onion will be probably the better option, because with the Terror Onion, you can then upgrade to like RGB SCAR and stuff like that.
yeah.
Whereas this is just a hue card. So whatever your PC Engine of choice is, that's how it'll output.
It's just like, because I've got my Retro Freak and the Evercade as well, can both like play PC Engine games. So I've got like full ROM sets of at least the TurboGrafx games. Anyway, I've not really delved into the Japanese side of that yet. But it's like some of the best games are on the CD, and neither of those systems will play the CD games. It's the main reason why I've wanted to rebuy the PC Engine Mini is so I can play Star Parodia, because it's my favorite game on the system, and it's just my only way I've been able to play it. So yeah,
The Terror Onion. Is that what you said? The Terror?
yeah.
It sounds like a villain from the early levels of Cuphead. Is that? I think, yeah. Can someone enlighten me on what one of those is? Because I've got no idea.
I don't know what it means, but the terror is like terror as in Earth, as in TERRA, not terror as in
Yeah,
But,
not scary. Not scary onion. Yeah.
it's like a big thing that clips on the back of your PC Engine, and you can play games from SD card on it. But it plays both normal PC Engine and CD games as well. I think Nave's got one.
Yeah, he got gifted one, the lucky fucker.
Yeah.
Horatio Van Basten says people should stick to their own regions and leave the import games to the multilingual collectors.
A mate of mine, his brother actually learned like rudimentary Japanese from playing Pokemon Green on the original Game Boy.
That must be
playing.
Surely, like the text that could be on a Game Boy is not going to be, I don't know, great for Japanese.
Well, what he were is he played the green version to like a basic understanding of what was going on, and then he'd got the blue version in PAL later on, and sort of put the two side by side and worked out like which kanji meant which like words and stuff like that, and he could like sort of basically read Japanese from playing the hell out of both of these versions of Pokemon.
Nice.
So, in terms of we've mentioned a little bit about some of the games that you've imported and whatever. James, have you got some recommendations for import games that people might be interested in? I'm not asking for your favourite ones or a definitive list, just ones that come off the top of your head at the moment, sort of thing. So,
what I think it's a tough question. That
okay. I don't usually ask tough questions. I just
Well, no, that's all right. I don't mind. I've got a few here. I've just picked out ones which kind of. I think most of them. The only way to get these is Japanese. I think. But what these particularly, I do like the Japanese GameCube cases.
Okay. You have to tell us what they are, because obviously some people might be listening to this. So.
Yeah, this is a Japanese exclusive game. it's a sequel to a game that was on the Game Boy Advance called Karurin, and this is Karurin Squash. And it's the only way you can get to play this. But so that's the reason I picked this out. Plus, I also like the Japanese GameCube cases probably more than most, to be honest. I love the design of these. They're just so unusual and different to anything else.
Are they all like that, are they, usually?
Yeah, all the Japanese ones are like this. But they're so small, just as a comparison. That's obviously the Japanese case. That is that Mega Drive converter, so that's the same size as a Mega Drive cartridge.
Right, yeah.
So you can see how much smaller the Japanese case is compared with like a DVD case.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah, I absolutely love them. They're some of my favourite cases. And then, as Pete I think it was Pete who mentioned the Famicom carts. These, I just love these.
The
multicolour rainbow of a Famicom cart.
Can we just point out that Salamander cart, which is the best cart ever made?
Yeah. This is a mega cart.
I was going to say, is that translucent? That looks awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a see-through green. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It is. That is something special. That
I've started collecting these quite recently. I fell in love with the Famicom cartridges. I think they're beautiful.
James, have you seen the Iron carts that Pete was on about earlier?
With the lighting,
They're so cool. Like,
yeah, they're nice as well.
They're not as cool as obviously the Salamander cart, but the fact he's got like a light on it is just like,
it is mega cool. I agree. And then what else have we got? Oh, this is another thing. How the Sega Bass Fishing on the Dreamcast. Now the PAL version just came out as the game, and you had to have a separate third-party fishing rod with it. But then in the Japan region, you get this official Sega fishing rod, in a combo pack with the game. It's just the kind of thing that you could only get by going Japanese.
Yeah, that is absolutely brilliant.
Talking about weird Japanese peripherals, I've got a feeling you have this. The Siemens PlayStation 2 controller.
No, I haven't got that actually.
Have you not? It's like sort of like some hieroglyphic, sort of like weird controller, but it's got like a microphone in it.
No, I've not got that. I've not got Siemens on the Dreamcast either, to be honest.
I hope not.
No.
Waiting for somebody.
Quite right, did he?
Well, when I did my game room tour, it was so close to having semen on the floor. So.
Oh dear me.
Oh, brilliant. And then,
just dug that one out, by the way.
I'll just put it on. What about noise was clacking around the background? There we go.
That there, it's a red LED.
Yeah, so cool.
And it's Zippy Race. That it's I can't remember what they called it in the UK. The reason all the noise was clattering about is because this one begins with a Z, so it was on the bottom of my pile.
In the right place, then that's good. That's good.
Yeah, yep. But yeah, the reason for it apparently was because the Famicom didn't have a power light, and people didn't know if they'd left it switched on or not. So the IRM games, they put their own little LED in there, and so you could tell. And I was saying because they're doing an IRM cart for the Evercade coming up. And I was saying, just for a laugh, they should have just stuck a little red LED in the back of the cartridge, just for nerds like me. I'd get such a kick out of that. But yeah.
Okay. There is an official PAL fishing rod as well, apparently, James.
Yeah, that's quite an expensive beast.
I've not seen that.
I think I've got the third-party version of
it. Do you know what I've heard? The third-party one is actually better than the actual official one. I think it does more functions.
All I need now is a copy of the game.
Fairly cheap, I think, that one, Russ.
It is.
Talking import games. I was talking to you, James, the other day about it, about fishing games. There is a horror-based fishing game called, what was it?
Killer Bass, wasn't it?
Killer Bass, yeah. And it looks amazing. Like I've always wanted it, but it's like 100+ game for a fishing game. I'm not that into fishing, you know.
Yeah, I looked at it after you told me about it, and no, it's too much for me.
Yeah, but it's such a cool concept, like a horror-based fucking fishing game.
Definitely.
Okay, so we had a look at some GameCube games. Anything else there, James? Or?
Oh, yeah, sorry. In a similar vein to Get Bass, it always used to fascinate me how you got variations in the Japanese, and obviously the Virtual Cop gun in the UK was blue. Well, in Japan you get a nice black gun. As you can, where's it gone?
Yeah.
There,
There
yeah,
we
it's,
go.
a, it's a nice black gun in Japan. And the same with the gun con on the PlayStation 1 as well. It was black in Japan.
I quite like the blue one.
I prefer it too. It's more arcadey feeling.
Yeah,
it's
that's
arcadey.
Yeah.
But it's just the realism, obviously, I suppose, of the black one. It's the same with the G-Con as well.
That's the Time Crisis 2 one, yeah.
Yeah.
So in the arcades, were they black in Japan? Like the Japanese
That's a good
arcades,
question.
were they black guns?
That's a good question. I don't know that. Maybe they
Because
were. I
for
don't know.
me, like the colours of the guns just signified arcade to me. It wasn't like these are the gun, like the colours to stop it from being a gun. It was this is an arcade, like you bringing the arcade home. So it was exactly what I remembered at the arcades.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I think that's that is
With
good.
justifiers and they're blue and pink.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
Exactly.
so cool.
And then
I don't have a pink gun.
for you, Russ, then we've got.
Oh,
I don't know
hang on,
why
we
this
got it.
never came out, pal, but this is one of the best games on the Wii.
It is. You're absolutely right. And I was gutted because I remember seeing it popping up, and every list I used to watch about the Wii games, it always came up, and then obviously found out that it was American only.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. I mean, it's obviously the sequel to Excite Truck,
Yeah.
but it's such a stunning game. It's just crazy they never bought this out.
Yeah,
It's
it's
weird
exciting.
being a Nintendo property. You would have thought they would have done.
You definitely. And as far as I know, it's the only way you can play it. I don't know that you can download it on anything else.
No,
I
that
don't
just
think-
reminds me of the old gen gamers, like because they used to rant about that game like on every episode, and I was
right.
like, "Why have we not got it?"
Cracking game.
Jay's here, LKG. Good evening, mate. Hope you're all right. Yeah, James, sorry.
I've only got a couple more.
Yeah,
We've got another obscurity now. This is like kind of mad Japanese territory, and we've got Densha to Go,
Densha.
which is
So-
Densha to Go. It's
that
kind of a
dentist
train
simulator?
simulation. No.
Oh.
It's a train simulator.
Ah.
And there's quite a few of these on Saturn, PlayStation, N64, PS2. You know, it's a big series in Japan.
PSP, DS, there's everything.
Yeah, Dreamcast, but it never came out, pal, as far as I'm aware. And you can see here, you get this crazy train controller.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Have
awesome.
you got that
Yeah.
controller, James?
Yeah, I've wanted it for years, and I don't know, 6-8 months ago I bought it. It's just brilliant.
Oh wow.
It's
That's
So you
proper
know when you
days,
play
isn't
the game, do you ever like dress up as well while you're playing it?
I'm not admitting to that. But you know what goes on on the flight deck stays on the flight deck.
I was just going to say, what you really need is one of those big, like, flight simulator rigs at the end of your room.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That controller looks brilliant. Oh, man,
it's class.
I love the look of that. That is
But
really
there's
good.
quite a few of them games on the PS2, which I'm on the lookout for, but they're quite difficult to get in this country from UK sellers. This goes back to the importing from Japan, which I'm trying to avoid on those, to be honest.
Mm.
Yeah, I sold a PSP version for like 40 quid like recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that doesn't even have the controller. It's
No,
like,
I mean, you don't need the controller. You can play it
love-
perfectly fine with a pad.
yeah, they love the train simulation game. There's one on the PS3 that I actually really wanted called Railfan. It's
Oh, okay.
like, it's become really expensive. It's like £100 game now. But yeah, it's like basically they film all the tracks, so it's like it's all like real life. It feels like you're actually playing. Well, you're actually driving the trains as you're going down the tracks. I don't know. There's something really satisfying about that. I don't know. Really,
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned that to me, you know, when I picked that controller up, now you've said.
Railfan.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned that to me before.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the same as the tank controls for Steel Battalion on the Xbox, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
I'd love
not
that. Yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
that.
I would as well. I'd never play. I play it once and put it away again. I can just imagine sitting there, like, great.
Oh, yeah, man.
Here and do that.
It always reminds me of
amazing.
the IT crowd. There's a scene on the IT crowd where they're like, "Oh, shall we go out for dinner? Shall we go out and have dinner in the park and do something different for a change?" And then it's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And then he cuts to the park and Moss is sat there with like the full steel battalion thing set up on a park bench. Oh, it's brilliant.
I love that. I love that.
Back on the subject of GameCube games, though, I don't know if you ever had any of the American ones, because I love the boxes for the American games.
Yeah, they're much nicer, aren't they? Yeah.
They're like, I mean, not only like logo on the bottom rather than the top of the spine, which just makes it stand out.
Yeah, they're different inside, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like more sort of bulky inside, and like they just feel more sort of quality.
They do, yeah, feel more substantial.
Well,
I don't have any.
I mean,
more, but...
people were saying about like how dual cases are so much better for the import games, but no, I really stand by. I love import games, by the way, but I stand by. I love the PAL cases for PS1, Dreamcast. They're just so unique that you can spot them out like from a crowd, like you know that's what they are, and that's what I love about the Japanese GameCube games, because you know that is a Japanese GameCube game. Whereas like these DVD cases, they're all the same. Like how do you know what that is? I just like that thing that just signifies that this game is for this console, for this generation. I love that, and you don't get that with import games, unfortunately, as a rule.
I see what you're saying.
It's a lot easier to replace the cases, though, isn't it?
It is, but as a collector, you should be striving for a collection piece. So these Sega Saturn games that everyone like complains about, do you know what? There's nothing finer than a perfect Sega Saturn case, PAL Sega Saturn case. However, there's so many better games in other regions, unfortunately.
It's going back to a comment from Judge Rock. Einhander, the best PlayStation import shooter ever. Yeah. Oh, there's a shake of the head there for Medi and Pete.
I hate that game.
I love it. It's harder than a dog shit on a winter morning, but it is a good game.
So many better games.
Francis Bourgeois in the house. Does anybody know what that is relating to?
No idea.
Yeah, no idea. Sorry, Sean. No idea what that one is. We're in the last final 15 minutes. So thanks for sharing some of those with you, James. We've got some more. I'll probably want to get through all those. But now, Pete, have you got any that, apart from that one cart you're showing off, any sort of import games that you'd recommend at all for people?
Yeah, some of the best games. Some of my favourite games are import only. It's like Parasite Eve on the PS1, one of my favourite role-playing games of all time. I've got a Japanese copy of that because the American copy is a little bit pricey. But again, it's one of them ones where I just wanted a physical copy to sit on my shelf just to know that I've got it, because it's one of my favourite games. There's that. There's a fighting game on the Sega Saturn called Goiken Muyu Anarchy in the Nippon, and it's like a sort of Virtua Fighter type thing, but the characters are all like, they're not instead of like martial arts masters in like karate gis and stuff like that and ninjas and things, they're like office workers and stuff, just in a suit and like shirt and tie and things like that. And there's a sequel on the PS1 as well, but again, they're both Japanese exclusive. Eddie's Top 30 Karuga on the Dreamcast, that was Japanese exclusive, and that's an absolutely fantastic shooter. It did later come out on like the GameCube and then the everything in this generation. But for a while, from the original Dreamcast version, it's Japanese exclusive, and it's not that easy to play Japanese games on the Dreamcast either. But
well, it actually is easier than you think. Really,
yeah,
it depends on what
Dreamcast it is to download. I mean, you can download like a GD-ROM.
Play imports easily, and some don't. And you can get like a disc that like auto like changes the region. So you do like this swap thing.
It was free on a magazine back in the day.
Yeah.
Screw the disc swapping though. I'm not doing that.
Well, like some versions of the Dreamcast, it's pretty much like auto region free, and like you can just play like backups just easily, and that's why I lost as well, really. But
it's like I say, it is as easy as just burning a backup, really, because like You can,
Oh yeah. Well, all the backups now that you get on the internet have got that auto protection like built into it. Well, like so you don't need any of this disk. It's already built into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know. I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but like certain games that are Japanese exclusive are like, and not even Japanese exclusive, like American exclusive as well. Like, well, not exclusive, but like I said, Parasite Eve came out in America, didn't come out over here. Parasite Eve 2 did for some god unknown reason, but plenty of people playing that with absolutely nothing to back up any knowledge of the series or anything. But yeah, it's just a great way of like getting great games, and it's the only way of getting some games.
Okay, cheers, mate. Thank you for that. We have a Francis Bourgeois update. Rob said he's a train enthusiast, TikToker into videos who gets over enthusiastic.
okay.
I've heard of that guy. Actually, he's great.
Yeah, Sean says he's a strange internet train spotter with the weird head cam. Well, which one? I mean, there must be.
It's the one that's like really close up, and all you see is his face, pretty much.
Yeah, but he's so excited about trains. It's one of the things where it's not like fake. It's like you can see he's genuinely excited, and it's quite heartwarming.
I don't think it's the same one that turned up on Big Game Miles Christmas stream last year. That was quite interesting. Those who watched that who were part of it will remember that one. Eddie, the same question to you then. Any sort of import games that you could sort of recommend? People?
Yeah, so like obviously like I got introduced to import games back in the day, but do you know what the renaissance of like having the internet and having like all these YouTube videos that you can like research what games are playable as an English speaking person, that has been the best like thing for me because it's just every day I'm learning about new games, the Saturn, the PC Engine, everything. I've kind of got to the end of the Sega Saturn now, like learning everything that's out there. But like at the moment, I'm learning so much about the PC Engine. I love it. It's just like when you're a long-term collector, I don't understand why people just get like stuck in their ways and like getting the same games that everyone else is getting. That's what I love about PC Engines, PC Engine and import games, because I'm learning about games that no one else knows about, or at least very few UK people know about. And it's like, even if you know import games, you don't know all the import games. It's incredible what there is out there. It's like sometimes you might have to use a bit of like, I don't know, fudging through the menus, but once you get through it, it's like you're getting this unique experience that you don't get over here in the UK. There's so many weird games that we never got. It's so good. But yeah, like I've been playing. What have I been playing? So, I can't remember what it's called, but like Spike McFang. Have you ever heard of that game on the SNES?
Yeah.
There's a PC Engine game that predates the SNES one. It's like a side-scrolling platform. I've been playing that recently, and it's like so cool. It's like PC Engine is known as shmups and stuff like that, but there's so many cool platformers that just never made it out like anywhere. So good. So as well, I love platformers, and it's hard to recommend some games because they are so expensive. But with importing, you can do a bit of the old download and playing it on the Sega Saturn, like the CDR. And one that I would really recommend is Tempo on the Sega Saturn. It's like a £300-400 game if you wanted to buy it, but Jesus Christ, it's like the best Sega Saturn game ever. I just love that game. It's so colourful. It's like a music-based platformer, and it's easy to do in one go. But like to master it properly, like to enjoy it, like how it's supposed to be done, you have to have multiple playthroughs. And yeah, it's such a good game, so good. And for me, is it without mention, shmups. Most of the best shmups or shooters are on the import side. We really missed out on a lot of them. We got some good ones, don't get me wrong, but the Sega Saturn, the PlayStation 1, they got some amazing stuff that we just never got. I just played through Harmful Park recently. That is a crying shame that we never got that game, because it's so it's not so Japanese that it could only stay there. It's accessible to everyone. It's one of them games that on the standard difficulty you could play to the end, but there's so much going on that it's like such a rich game that I don't think any other shmup has really replicated. It is so good, and because it's stuck in Japan and because it's such a good game, it's like a 500-600 quid game. But if it came out into PAL regions, I think we would have lapped it up, and it would have just everyone would have known about it, and it would have just been on everyone's top 10 PlayStation 1 games. It really would have been.
It's a really good game.
Really is. It's such a crying shame no one else has. Eddie, stop telling people about PC Engine.
Yeah.
No. Well, people probably know that I'm selling a lot of my collections. I can't sell my PC Engine because it is like the lost love that I never knew about. It's like I feel like really enamored with the system, that I'm like, because I'm learning about stuff all the time. I just love it. I just love that feeling about unearthing something that maybe someone else maybe don't know about, and that I don't know about, most importantly. And I'm experiencing this game for the first time. I just love it.
Some things you can't part with, can you?
I think import games give someone who's been into like collecting for a while, import games is just a natural step for everyone, I think.
Okay, yeah.
Just a little back step to when you're on about fudging through menus on Japanese games. It just brought back to like one of my crowning glories in gaming, I think, in my whole life, was I managed to finish Dino Crisis, the original one, in Japanese.
What?
When I was younger. Because again, like Silent Hill, it looked like it wasn't coming out in the West, so I got a Japanese version of it, and yeah, I actually managed to do it. All the spoken language was in American, but all the text was like Japanese, and there were a lot of like finding key cards to go in different doors and stuff. Don't know how the hell I did that, but I did it.
I don't remember many talking Japanese dinosaurs, but now you've brought that up, so that's probably what it is.
Can I just say,
yes,
Capcom needs to stop re-releasing Resident Evil games and do Dino Crisis.
They definitely do. They need to re-release both Dino Crisis games, because there definitely isn't 3 of them.
Yeah, the third one on the Xbox.
On the Xbox.
Yeah.
In fact, Dino Stalk is terrible as well. It's I think they just killed that series.
That's why it's called something completely different over here.
Yeah.
That's the shooter, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen that knocking around.
I didn't mind that, to be honest.
I hated it. If it was just a bog standard straight up shooter, I would have liked it, but it was like part of the Gun Survivor series in Japan, wasn't it? So you could move around by yourself and stuff, and no, it doesn't work.
Fair enough.
There we go. Right, so we need to 2 hour mark, so that's a good point to draw a line on the conversation. But that, again, like last episode on the Amstrad, I hope that people have learned a bit. I've learned a fair bit, as always, on these things, and see the 3 guys down there with some very good knowledge about importing games, how to go about doing it, what systems to go for, and a few recommendations there. Before we finish, me and James were talking about events at the start. Eddie, you're doing a couple of events, aren't you, stalling out? So if you just want to let everybody know where you'll be and when.
So I think it's the 4th of December, like the first Sunday in December, I'm doing the Birmingham market. So I'm selling some of the stuff that I've shown on pickups videos, which killing me really is. Like it's hurting me inside, but I'm trying to sell games to buy a house. So I'm doing the old what's it called? Big house owl.
Big house
I'm
owl,
doing that. Yeah, big house owl. So I'm trying to replicate what he's doing and stuff like that. So onwards and upwards, and so that's the first one. And then on the 21st, the 18th of December, the Sunday before Christmas, I'm going to be stalling at Nottingham at the Nottingham Retro Games Expo. I don't know really what it's
Games
called.
Expo, isn't it? Something.
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
very So yeah, that looks like it's going to be pretty cool. It's a new expo which hasn't been around. I just think it might be the wrong date to be doing it the week before Christmas. So yeah, but I mean, hopefully it's going to work out well. Hopefully, because I'm going to be there selling some stuff.
There we go. Yeah, as Rob says, if you buy anything off Eddie, he'll sign it for you if you wish him to.
Yeah, I've got stickers as well that I'll be putting with the games if you ask for them. So
there we go. Any buy one get one free offers?
Yeah, if you buy Ikaruga for £500, you can get any game free.
Or even Hyperduel.
Well, maybe not that one. Then.
I was going to say, sorry if you got like something a night or something, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah, but if
well,
you did,
you're buying that, aren't you? Anyway.
Maybe.
But if you are popping along to those events we mentioned right at the very start, as Eddie mentioned, there, do go and even just go and say hello to him and introduce yourself and see if there's anything that takes fancy. Obviously, someone said a sneak preview of what's going, and there are some pretty high quality titles in that. So definitely pop along there. That's the 4th of December in Birmingham and the 18th in Nottingham, and there might be some free FIFAs thrown in as well by the sound of it. So.
I don't think I've got any FIFAs to
You've
start.
got no FIFAs. That's trying to get a big pile given away.
I gave my Vita one away, didn't I? To the Vita lover, to the FIFA lover.
Oh yeah, well, that's where it's ended up then. There we go. Okay, well, guys, thanks very much indeed for your time once again. James, thank you very much for being our special guest this episode. And
no problem.
It's been a pleasure having you on. I'm sure that
you.
the runway will be clear shortly, so we'll be taking off. And
yes, all been well.
Yeah, we'll see them. But thanks for being on again, mate. We appreciate it. Eddie and Pete, thanks again for your time. Good to have you back on, Eddie, and good to see you again, Pete. And hopefully it won't be too long before you see you again soon. I'll just drop you all backstage. So if you want to give everybody a wave before you go, and I'll wrap the rest of the broker up. All right, there they go. Off into the distance. Yeah, so that's another one. I hope, again, like I said, I hope you've learned something about the import gaming side of things. It might be something you've been aware of, not aware of before, something you've thought about, something you might want to dip your toe into. I certainly think that the guys we've had there, people who know what they're doing. If you'd been left to me and Sean to talk about it, you wouldn't have a bloody clue. But there we go. So if you've enjoyed that, do let us know what you think in the comments. It would be great to get your feedback on this one. Couple of, as we mentioned right at the very start, a couple of dates of diary. 4th of December is the next podcast date. However, like I said before, depends what happens with the World Cup. If it clashes with the England game, we'll probably try and maybe move it to a different week or something like that. At the moment, it's just going to be a general episode. So if anybody who wants to come on, you can always get in contact with me through the comments below. There is a spare seat available at the moment. And then the 18th of December, which I think is the World Cup final day, although it's been played at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we are hoping to do sort of a Christmas stream. Like I said, these dates they are set, but they may get moved around. So do keep an ear close to the ground. We'll obviously make some sort of announcement if things change. But if you do want to be a guest on certainly the 4th of December, do let me know. Then obviously the 18th, and then we've got Christmas, and then we'll be coming back in January at some point as well. So just a couple to go for the end of the year. But thanks to everybody who's been in the chat again. Some really good comments and streams and comments and recommendations and people's experiences. So thank you very much indeed for everybody here. You are as big a part of this as the panel and the guests. It's great to see you all here. I'll leave it at that. So hope to see you again soon. Like I said, 4th of December is the next one. If you're able to pop in for that, it'd be great to see you. But until then, have a good couple of weeks and we'll see you soon. Until then, take care and bye for now.